Has this ever happened to you? I made the classic error of picking up a class. That's not really an error, but I picked up this classic game. I managed to read the rules in one sitting on the toilet, and after reading the rules, explained the rules to my family. We then we started to play the game, and it wasn't till we got to the second scoring round my wife turns around and says, "We're not playing this properly." She said that because she was losing, my daughter was winning, and I was in the middle. At the end of the game, there was a vast difference in scores. My daughter stormed ahead, my wife trailed miles behind, and I was stuck in the middle. I read the rules again and again, and nothing struck me as queer or bizarre. So I watched the video. After watching the video, I realised my error. I had read one line incorrectly. What line, you ask? Well, a very important line. The line I read says how to play. The player whose turn it is must do these things. No, it doesn't say that. It says the player whose turn it is must do one of three things. Oh my god, dyslexia at its worst. It wasn't till afterwards we played it again with the proper rule, and my wife stormed ahead, I was stuck in the middle, and my daughter was behind. Normality had returned. Has that ever happened to you? Anyway, there will be no first impressions in this video, but I will be putting my head on the chopping block after this main feature.
Ian Jones loved to explore the world. He would travel to the island of Tobago to search for hidden treasure. He would travel to the island of Jamaica and take doubloons from pirates. He would travel to the island of Carcassonne and...
Whoa! Carcassonne is not an island.
Oh, sorry. He would travel to the island of the island and dance with dolphins? But nothing could prepare him for what he found on the island of Catan.
Hi Jeppets! In this video, if you haven't already figured it out, I'm going to be talking about the game The Settlers of Catan, or as my version is called, Catan. Now, this is the age-old classic game of civilization building. Well, it's not that old actually, but it's quite old, and it's a classic game. And it is a board game that everybody should be playing. And here's why. Because it is easy to play and it is fun to play. The game is so easy, it's as simple as rolling 2 dice. And that's what you do. The first thing you do is you roll 2 dice. Whatever the result is, you gain that resource. The 5s are on the mountain areas and on the brick areas. So the yellow player has a place next to the brick area and a place next to the mountain. So therefore he gains a brick and a stone. Whereas the red player just has 1 brick. And then the second part of the game is trading and building. You can trade the resources that you've recuperated with other players. You say, oh, I'll have one of those bricks and I'll give you a sheep. Or you can trade 4 items exactly the same with the bank and get a resource that you want. And then you can build whatever you want to build. So if I pay a brick and a wood, I can build a road next to a road or a colony that I already own. If I pay these 4 resources, a brick, a wood, a straw, a sheep, I can build a colony 2 spaces away from anybody else's colony, including my own. As long as it's connected to a road, it's cool, baby. And if I pay these 5 resources, I can transform one of my colonies into a city, a village. Anyway, we've built routes, we've built colonies, we've built villages. What's this development thing? Well, this development thing is a deck of random cards, and you will take one of these cards. Majority of them are knights, and knights help you build an army. Some of them are actually victory points, which will help towards your score. And then some of them are just progress cards, development cards, which will help you get resources, to help you get resources. For each colony you have on the board, it's worth 1 point. For each village or city that you have on the board, that's worth 2 points. And it's the first player to get a total of 10 points on the board wins the game. That's it. There are other ways of getting points. If you manage to build the longest continuous route, and it's 5 or more longer, you gain this card, which gives you 2 bonus points. But if someone comes along and builds a road longer than yours, they take it away from you, and they got the 2 bonus points. Now you may ask yourself, there's a number missing from the board, and you'd be right. If you ever roll the 7, which is the missing number, you can move the thief, the robber, the voleur, and you can place them on any tile that you want. So in this case, whenever an 11 is rolled, this robber has blocked this tile, so the 11 will never produce any resources. And you could also steal a resource card from either the blue player or the red player. So the thief can be quite annoying from time to time, blocking you from getting the resource that you want. But so what can you do? Well, you remember those cart development cards even, sorry, speaking backwards French. Well, there's those knights. If you get one of these knights, you can ask the old thief to move along please, and move him on to another area. If you get loads of these knights in play, you have the strongest army, and therefore you can get 2 more points. And again, if someone has an army stronger than yours, they take this away from you. Ooh. So there you go, that's Catan in a nutshell, baby. Haha, too much Austin Powers. Anyway, it's easy, isn't it? I've gone through practically all the rules. There's a few rules that I've obviously missed out and forgotten about. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop you from having fun with this game. This game is so easy and light. This is the game that I get out and I play with people who don't normally play board games. And you know what they say? That was a good fun game. And you know what? When they come back the next time they see me, do you know what they say? They say, Barry, can we play Catan? And you know what I say? I say yes, but only if you play something else afterwards. Now, am I saying that this game is perfect? No, this game is not perfect. There's one little thing which bugs the hell out of me, and that's the roll of the dice. Now, many times I've played the game, and the roll of the dice has never gone my way, and everyone else is building their big cities and building their roads out everywhere, and I'm just stuck there with my first 2 colonies. And I feel like the game is unfair, and it is really frustrating, and it just makes you really sad. But at the same time, the game evens itself out later on when you start negotiating, when you start trading items with other players. That's when you can go, okay, right, I'm losing. You want my brick, yes? Well, maybe you should give me 2 straw. Make that 3 straw. And that's how the game equals itself out. You can see the score on the board. You can see who's got how many points. If there is a clear leader, then what you do is you play with the other team members and say, look, he's winning. We need to stop him from winning. And that's where the game balances out from this randomness of the dice. You put the thief on their territory, so the leader doesn't get lots of resources. You know, he's got his city there. He's going to get 2 of those resources each time. You want to stop him. Stop him. Everyone gang up on him. And then eventually everyone else will start coming up to the same level. And then the game becomes a really desperate race to the finish. And you never know, someone might have that hidden victory point which would just clinch them the game. But
that is where the fun is.
You may say to yourself, well, yeah, the game sounds great and easy, but it's only for 3 to 4 players. Well, yeah, it says for 3 to 4 players on the box, but you can buy an expansion which will expand that to 5 and 6 players, and everything will fit into the base box. Here, I've got the other colours. And then you say, well, there's never 3, 4, 5 or 6 of us round. Well, you can play a 2-player version of the card game of Catan. It has the same feel, and it has buildings that you can build which give you special powers, and then there's also event cards which come up and change things, but it basically feels exactly the same as that. But then you say, well, I like Catan, but it gets a bit boring because it's the same island. Yeah, you may shuffle the tiles around a bit, but it's the same thing and over again. Well, buy an expansion. This one I'd recommend. It's marine in French, but it's seafarers or something like that. And you can build a bigger map, and you can build little islands and a big island, and then you can build boats and try and get resources from other places. And it just expands the gameplay. There's missions in there. This is just all out, just same thing over and over again. So yes, it does get boring after about 20-30 plays. But it's never boring when you get it out with new people who've never played games before or have never played this game before, because they have different approaches and different strategies. Let's talk about strategies. The game is not the same old thing over and over again. There are many different strategies. You could just go out for building the longest road and block everyone off like a Tron light cycle. Or you could just build lots of colonies, and then once you built your colonies, transform them into the big cities. Or you could just transform them into cities as you go. The strategy and the negotiation of how you talk to people. If you go to the ports and build ports, and you can do better trades, are you going to do that? Are you going to like build only on straw areas and also build a colony on the port of straw, so you just got a monopoly on straw and you just trade 2 straw for all the resources you want? Are you just going to buy development cards because they will guarantee you probably a chance of getting 1 point, if not just 1 point, then lots of knights, so you get 2 points for the strongest army? The strategies are on and on. People may block you and cut you off, but you can still make a comeback if you're a shrewd person. All the components are really good. The box insert holds everything beautifully. You have these little trays which hold the cards, and these pieces for the colony, the city, and the roads are all plastic, and they're not wooden like the American version, and they look beautiful. They look beautiful on the map. The dice unfortunately don't come with this game because these ones are my Dice Tower dice. You have the rules, which are very, very quick, easy to read. But you also have this glossary here. Now, this glossary just confirms things for you, and it's beautiful. Everything's alphabetical. So if you run into a problem, what does the knights do? You just jump there, and you can read it, and it tells you what the knights do. And they move the thief, and then the thief steals stuff. And what's the thief do? Then you go to the thief, which is the voleur. It's all alphabetical. Everything about this game. Vil voler. There you go. See, the thief, he's there. And then there's an explanation on how the game plays from turn to turn if you don't know how to play games. This game is beautiful. And you may say to yourself, well, how did I get here? Let the day go by, yeah, so you may say to yourself, maybe I have some favoritism to games about building civilizations. Well, I kind of have, yes. But who doesn't like building things? Who doesn't like making things bigger and better and stronger and more funner? What? You don't? No fancy graphic from me. My Board Game Geek rating is 8.2. Yes, this is a board game that you should have in your collection and should be playing. Yes, go get it. ever happened to you. You go out and you buy that latest and greatest game because the Vassalite in you tells you to. You open up the box and you breathe in that freshly cut cardboard and fresh ink smell. And then you delicately punch out all the components. And then you get the manual, you skim read, you lay out the game in all its glory. And after a quick play with it, you delicately put it all away back into the box. You get the lid, you place the lid on, you push it down gently and wait for that box fart. When and all because the box insert sucks! Some boxes have these inserts which you only end up throwing away. Some boxes seem bigger than they really should be, and then you realise, expansions. Some boxes, everything fits in snugly when you get it. And then when you add the expansions, it doesn't fit in the box! And some boxes, everything fits perfectly, even with sleeved cards. And some boxes require you to buy even more boxes. Some boxes, everything fits snugly. You can even put an expansion in, which means that you can get rid of the box. And some boxes destroy your game. And some boxes are just perfect. So come on, game publishers, spend more than 5 minutes just contemplating how this final product is going to go out in the market. Think about your box insert. If only there was someone out there who could help us in this dire Pandora's box problem thing. He's not a sheep, is he?